Sometimes people go crazy on paternity court.
Got a problem because you was one of me.
No, I don't have a...
No!
And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop.
These are little, beautiful people you bringing in the world. It's not a sport. That is not what we have to do.
Buckle up, buckaroos! Because today, we're diving deep into a roller coaster case between two jilted lovers. And oh boy, it's a wild ride! If you thought your family barbecues were dramatic, you ain't seen nothing yet.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father, and can you tell me how you know?
Yes, Your Honor, I am without a doubt 100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. We already have a child from a previous situation. We got back together. We're working on us.
First up, we had Miss Brewington giving her testimony. She was all confident, and she was ready to drop the bomb that Mr. Lee was the one and only daddy to her adorable 3-year-old son, Giovanni. She was 100% certain, folks. But why, you may ask? Because according to her, they weren't just sharing a roof, they were sharing a bed too. Talk about close quarters.
Were you living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
But you weren't together.
Exactly.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluids.
No.
Clearly, yes, clearly. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No, ma'am.
I will say, although she did not say it as eloquently as I would have liked, you can still be sexually active with one another.
But wait! Mr. Lee had something to say about that. He outright denied that little Giovanni was his mini-me. His claim? They weren't even an item when Gio was conceived. Now, I'm no mathematician, but if you're living together and not cool at the moment, as Mr. Lee put it, things don't quite add up, do they? But here's where it got juicy. Miss Brewington said she was only intimate with Mr. Lee and that they were working on their relationship. But Mr. Lee wasn't having that. He was convinced he'd been played for a fool, just a wallet for child support. Drama alert.
Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No, he was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. The entire time, I'm talking about, I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this?
The plot thickened when Miss Brewington revealed she found out she was pregnant while getting her birth control renewed. Surprise, surprise! But Mr. Lee, the skeptic, made her take not 1, not 2, but 3 pregnancy tests. And they all screamed positive. But Mr. Lee still wasn't buying it. He was convinced she'd just been packing on the pounds from fast food. Not cool, dude.
He named my son. He was like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name. I'm naming him. I actually told him I was like, you don't want to wait until we do a DNA test. I offered the DNA test in the hospital.
She did not say that.
But you signed the birth certificate, right?
Yes, I did.
If you had all this denial and you say she eating fast food and this isn't even a pregnancy.
Fast forward to the birth of little Giovanni. Mr. Lee missed the main event, but swooped in just in time to sign the birth certificate and even name the baby. Hold up! If you're so sure he's not yours, why put pen to paper, Mr. Lee? Get this. He actually thought he could just erase his name later if a DNA test proved him right. Talk about wishful thinking. Now here's the kicker. Miss Brewington's so-called friend tells Mr. Lee he's not the father and that she knows who the real daddy is. But wait for it. Miss Brewington caught them in bed together. That's a backstabbing masterclass right there.
Being a father to Giovanni, like, do you step up for him?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're obviously responsible as it relates to child support because you signed the birth certificate.
I'm always there. I've never not been there.
You're the man he knows to be his dad.
Father.
Yes, he calls me daddy.
Calls you daddy.
Yes, yes.
With all of that,
Yes.
you still don't believe he's your biological son.
No.
Mr. Lee was still standing his ground, though, even with a side-by-side baby photo comparison that Ms. Brewington swears shows they're literally 2 peas in a pod. But Mr. Lee wasn't seeing it, or to put it in his words, nah, it could be anyone's kid. Judge Lake then dropped the reality check. Being a father isn't about signing papers, it's about stepping up! And despite all the denial, Mr. Lee had already been playing the dad role to Giovanni, who even called him daddy.
I could only imagine if his soul and spirit could truly process the fact that the man that I look at and I say, Daddy, when I come running up, is standing in a courtroom right now, clowning my mother, but also denying me. And see, we have to think about that. It's not always jokes, and I always say that we don't clown in here because we're not running a circus.
With emotions running high and tension at its peak, Miss Brewington broke down, admitting she was hurt by all the denial and just wanted what was best for her son. It was clear she had a soft spot for Mr. Lee, despite all the name-calling.
I just had to say that because Giovanni deserves to know. And when it comes to his life and his paternity, he deserves there to be a level of respect, decorum surrounding this result, because whether it goes either way, this child still has to live with it.
Judge Lake laid down the law, reminding everyone that this wasn't a game. It was a little boy's life they were messing with. So she whipped out the DNA results, and at that point, you could have cut the tension with a knife. So was Mr. Lee the father, or had Miss Brewington been bluffing the whole time? It was time to find out if Giovanni's daddy drama would get a happy ending, or if the plot was about to take another twist.
Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew it. I told you.
Don't look at me like that. I don't know God's
Who
plan.
else? It was you that
Did
was.
you just
Do that.
inject God in this?
I did not put him in this.
We've got another slam dunk for you, and this one is overflowing with drama. Ms. Valentine was fuming. She was dead set on proving that her adorable 3.5-month-old son, named after the basketball legend Michael Jordan, was indeed the biological offspring of Mr. Jordan, not that Mr. Jordan. Talk about a full court press.
So you moved on and began dating other men, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jordan, you claim you have always known you are not Michael's biological father after discovering a text message Ms. Valentine sent to another man. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Valentine, tell the court, why did you open today's case?
Because I know 100% sure that Michael is the father of my baby.
But hold up! Mr. Jordan was playing defense like his namesake, totally denying the paternity claims. He threw a curveball, insisting that he wasn't the father based on some sneaky texts Miss Valentine sent to another dude.
It was the
Same
same
night,
night.
yeah.
It was the same night. Like
We
I
did
paid
what
for
we
his
did
cab.
that night, yep.
I sure did. I paid for his cabs to
Yeah, I
come over
think
my
you sure
house
did.
because it was gonna go on my terms. Like I paid for it so he can come, and it was the very same night. Like I said, it was only supposed to be a one-night stand.
If she gonna do it for me,
But wait,
doing for
now Miss Valentine, you wasn't paying for no taxi for no man you saw on a dating website to
It was
come
like I
to your
said,
house?
But we had protected sex, Your Honor.
Miss Valentine met Mr. Jordan on a dating app looking for a one-night stand. She said she likes her men with a dash of ugly, and apparently Mr. Jordan had just the right amount of dash because she swiped right, he swiped right, and bam, instant connection. We can't make this stuff up, folks. The same night they matched, she paid for his cab, and they had what was supposed to be a one-night stand. But as these things tend to go, one night turned into many, and eventually they were having unprotected sex. Classic move, right?
After that happened, we had unprotected sex that same night, and I did not talk to her no more for 2 weeks because of that.
Wait,
Oh,
wait. You got into the sheets you thought another man
no,
had just
no.
got out
It was
of?
on the counter. It was on the counter, Your Honor.
Why did I ask?
It was on the counter.
Why did I ask?
It was on the counter.
But here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Jordan tells the court he found another man in Miss Valentine's house, claiming he was just a babysitter. But the plot thickens when Mr. Jordan noticed the TV was on in her room with the bed sheets all messed up. Suspicious much? Despite all that, they still had unprotected sex that night. And as you'll see as we move on, complicated doesn't even begin to describe the relationship between these two.
You ain't never bought my kids a damn thing.
Oh, so all the restaurants we went to,
But
I took
anyway,
her and her
back
kids
to
out.
what he was saying.
Okay, one at a time.
Back to
I'm
what
gonna
he
give
was
Miss
saying.
Valentine a chance to respond to your testimony.
Back to what
Mr.
he was
Jordan.
saying.
Okay.
So while I was living back in Chicago, yes, I had somebody that I was involved with previously. We were no longer involved for months at a time. Months. So yes, he came down because that's the only other man.
Fast forward, and Miss Valentine shows Mr. Jordan a positive pregnancy test. But Mr. Jordan was not buying it. He had his doubts, especially after his buddy Mr. Krebs testified that he saw multiple men coming in and out of Miss Valentine's place. And let's not forget the mysterious Pizza King, a guy Miss Valentine was supposedly texting about hooking up. Drama overload.
He's been in love with my son since he was born. And he has pictures of him everywhere, all over his social media. And he asks me for pictures of him all the time.
So why do you think he's denying him?
Because his friends. Because of his friends.
I have nothing to do with it.
Oh, you think people are getting in his ear and giving him reason to doubt the baby?
Now here's the kicker. Mr. Jordan was there for the baby's birth, cut the cord, and even signed the birth certificate. But he's still denying the baby? Something doesn't add up. Miss Valentine breaks down in tears, saying Mr. Jordan is denying their son in court just to hurt her. She insists he's been in love with the baby since day one and even flaunts him all over social media.
It's serious. You don't just get on the computer and decide, oh, I'm gonna have sex today, because it turns into this. And now we've got a little person. Look at this beautiful baby. I don't want him to grow up in this level of negativity and drama. Mr. Jordan, what are your intentions? if this baby is yours, do you plan to be a dad?
The tension in the courtroom could be cut with a knife as Judge Lake tries to get these two to see sense. She reminds them that their actions affect little Michael and that they need to get their act together for his sake. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the envelope with the DNA results is handed to Judge Lake. The courtroom is silent. Everyone's on the edge of their seats, and the future of this family hangs in the balance. Is Mr. Jordan the father of little Michael Jordan? Will Miss Valentine's claims be validated, or will Mr. Jordan's doubts be confirmed?
Mr. Jordan, you are the father. And he doesn't deserve this. This is messy. This is...
We've got a juicy one today, folks. So grab your cup, because we've got some tea for you. We've got Miss Thomas and Mr. McKee, two lovebirds who met on an online dating site. But this ain't no fairy tale, folks. They went from flirty emojis to the real deal. And quicker than you can say swipe right. They were much more than just text buddies.
Miss Thomas, you and the defendant, Mr. McKee, met on an online dating website, and the conversation quickly jumped offline and into Mr. McKee's bed. You believed you were in a committed relationship with the defendant and was devastated when he denied your pregnancy. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Thomas thought she was in a relationship, but Mr. McKee, he was just in it for the good times, if you catch my drift. And then boom! Miss Thomas drops the baby bomb. But instead of stepping up, Mr. McKee hit that block button faster than a scared kid playing Five Nights at Freddy's. That's right, he ghosted her when she needed him most.
So, Mr. McKee, she sent you a text with the picture of the baby. Your first response was what?
The baby look like he can be for Donald Trump.
Like, really? Really?
I didn't expect that one.
He thinks that the color makes a difference. The color don't make a difference.
I think what you're saying is you thought the baby was biracial? That's what you meant.
Fast forward a few months, and there's a new kid on the block, baby Carson. Miss Thomas was convinced that Mr. McKee was the daddy, but he was over there shaking his head faster than a bobblehead on a bumpy road. He even says the kid looks like Donald Trump. I mean, what? That's some next level denial right there.
Kids on the way right now?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Right.
With your spouse or your girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Okay, so the children were planned? No. Okay.
You talk about me?
So you have twins
Really?
on the way?
No, not twin, but two different women.
You talk about me, though.
I just asked, were you having a baby with your girlfriend? They're both your girlfriend?
They're like two sisters.
But wait, because this roller coaster was just getting started. Mr. McKee's family was all sorts of confused about baby Carson. His mom was all in on her potential grandson, but his aunt was throwing shade like it was a sunny day at the beach. And if you thought this was a simple case of who's your daddy, think again. Mr. McKee's personal life was more tangled up than a box of old Christmas lights in July. He had not one, but two ladies expecting his babies, and they were sisters. We can't make this stuff up, people.
That's what the lady said in the store?
At the store.
Yeah.
She was ready to get mad, but you...
That's the thing. I have to do that every day.
You know.
Somebody like, is his mama white or is his daddy white?
So you all can't even enjoy these beautiful, precious moments, these beginnings with the child, because every time you're walking around with this beautiful baby, somebody looks at either one of you all and tries to discredit the fact that you could be the child's parent.
Right.
Apparently, everywhere Ms. Thomas goes with Carson, it's like a game show of guess the parent. She can't even buy a loaf of bread without someone questioning the baby's heritage. Talk about a tough crowd. And if ordinary life seemed like a daytime TV show, the court hearing was a big-budget Hollywood movie. Ms. Thomas was pleading for Mr. McKee to be a part of Carson's life if he was the father. But Mr. McKee, he was just standing there like a guy on his porch waiting for his pizza to be delivered.
It's not funny, but I just literally am like, oh, because you're serious.
Yes, ma'am.
You ain't said this much all day. So the question of the day becomes, when are you gonna start wearing a condom? You can't go on like this, Mr. McKee. That's 3 paternity cases going on at one time. These are babies. These are babies.
Right.
These are people.
You could reach out and touch the tension in the courtroom. This case had gone from a cut and dry paternity case to being more complex than the plot of an M. Night Shyamalan film. Judge Lake is about to drop the bombshell, and you can practically hear hearts racing. So what's the verdict? Is Mr. McKee the father, or is Miss Thomas's baby daddy still a mystery?
Mr. McKee, you are not the father.
Are you serious?
He is not the father, Miss Thomas.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm sorry.
Buckle up because today we're taking a trip into crazy town. And oh boy, do we have a doozy of an episode for you. It's the case of Marsh v. Reed, and it's jam-packed with twists, turns, and a whole lot of drama.
Ms. Marsh, you and your mom have demanded the defendant, Mr. Reed, appear in court today because you say he denies your 1-year-old daughter, Tamari, only when you deny his desire to have a relationship with you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Reed, you claim that Ms. Marsh has confessed to you that you may not be Tamari's biological father.
So we've got Miss Marsh, a young mom who's been chasing Mr. Reed since she was 18. And Mr. Reed, well, he's a 40-year-old guy with a questionable taste for girls who are young enough to be his daughters. And no, that's not all guys. Mr. Reed is the proud husband to multiple wives. Yep, you heard that right. He's out here trying to collect them all like they're Pokemon cards.
You say you don't believe Tamari, oh, she's so adorable, is your biological child. You don't believe that?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Where'd you meet?
We met in Columbus, Ohio, but I lived in
Okay.
California.
Okay.
I had just turned 18.
Okay, so you met in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
So you all started dating.
No.
It was
I flew back to California.
Miss Marsh is in court because she's got a 1-year-old daughter named Tamari, and she's certain Mr. Reed is the daddy. But get this, Mr. Reed only denies the baby when Miss Marsh denies his advances. Talk about a messy love triangle, or should we say love square, considering his multiple wives agenda?
Third, fourth birthday,
He
or fourth birthday.
He did my daughter.
Your
my
whole
daughter's
birthday. The shopping,
Everything.
the birthday party,
Spent
the cake.
$1,000 on toys, and then spent another
They
$1,000
wasn't in a
on her
relationship.
birthday
What
party.
man does that?
Me,
So wait a
Okay.
minute. You threw a birthday party
I love
for
children.
her older child.
I love children, so I threw a birthday party for her oldest daughter, yes.
All right.
Mr. Reed, on the other hand, claimed that Miss Marsh was trying to trap him into a relationship. He was out here accusing her of using baby Tamari as bait. But wait, there's more! Mr. Reed also has a wild claim that Miss Marsh confessed he might not be the father. Drama alert! Now let's get into the meat of this soap opera. Miss Marsh spills the tea that Mr. Reed swooped into her life, acting like Prince Charming, throwing a $1,000 birthday party for her other kid. Who does that? Mr. Reed says he loves kids, which in all honesty raised more questions than answers.
In your mind, was this a relationship or what?
She knew I was dating other women.
I never knew he was dating other women. On Torrance's birthday, he asked me to go on a trip with him to a resort with his family. When we get to Missouri, 2 women pop up at the hotel
And I
room, and
told
he
her
said,
on the-
"This is my wife."
Your Honor,
And I said, "It's over."
Your Honor, on the way to the...
What?
Your Honor, on the way...
Hold on
the way
now.
there, I told her I was taking her to meet my wife.
But hold on to your seats because the plot thickens. Miss Marsh testified about a trip to Missouri that quickly turned into a reality check. Just as they arrived, bam! 2 women show up and Mr. Reed introduces one of them as his wife. That wasn't a vacation. It was an episode of Twilight Zone. And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it does. Miss Marsh found out about yet another wife during a traffic stop. This man wasn't just playing a game, he was playing the whole league.
So what happened when you found out you were pregnant? Tell the court.
So I found out I was pregnant. I called Mr. Reed because I felt sick. So we went to the store and got a whole bunch of pregnancy tests. Then we went to the pregnancy center. We got an ultrasound. And then later on, he had left to go console a girl in California that was having a miscarriage.
You knew this?
I knew afterwards.
She knew this young lady was down there.
And just like that, Miss Marsh was pregnant. But when she told Mr. Reed, he was off consoling another woman in California who was having a miscarriage. Seriously, this guy's love life was so complicated, he probably kept track of all his flings with spreadsheets.
So what is your doubt exactly? Because you have not testified to
Because
this.
every time she get angry with me, the first thing she do is say, "You're not the father. This other
And I don't
gentleman is
blame
the father that she was sleeping with." That's my doubt.
Ms. Marsh, when you're angry with him, do you tell him this is not his baby?
Because he's always trying to do something.
But that's yes.
Question. Yes
But
or no?
that is yes.
And it only happened once
Yes.
that I told him
3
that.
times.
It
You
never
just told me
happened
this
3
last
times.
time.
Despite all the chaos, Mr. Reed ends up playing house with Miss Marsh for 7 months. He's there, acting like daddy of the year to little Tamari. But when push comes to shove, he's got doubts. And why? Because every time they fight, Miss Marsh hits him with the "you're not the father" line. Ouch.
Why would you go stay over there 7 months and you
Because I
didn't
was
know?
because I was trying to do the right thing.
But if you really believe somebody's trying to trap you, you don't walk right on up into the trap.
Exactly.
Really?
So now, Ms. Marsh, what if for some reason he is not Tamari's biological father?
It would hurt, but I know that's his daughter. Like, my baby looked she's light-skinned, but she looked just like him.
Judge Lake is trying to make sense of this hot mess, and she's not letting Mr. Reed off easy. She calls him out on his shenanigans, and let me tell you, it's better than a halftime show. So, we've got the DNA results in hand, and the tension is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Will Mr. Reed be the father? Will Miss Marsh have to keep looking for Tamari's baby daddy? The courtroom is on the edge of their seats, and so are we.
Mr. Reed, you are not the father.
Now I feel like the goofy. I done flew all the way down here
Listen.
to look like a goofy.